What's up? I want to talk about NPCs. Okay. These guys. The nameless ones, the named ones, and whatever the fuck. So, I was playing some Dragon's Dogma 2, and they did a very brave thing. A very brave and very stupid thing. NPCs in that game do not have quest markers. You kind of just have to wander around town and talk to every NPC, who all have generated names, and try to figure out which one is the one who has a quest for you, versus which one is just going to be randomly, not randomly generated, but just generic dialogue. That's kind of infuriating, because players don't like to miss shit, right? There's a 100% problem, where games that are too big, players will refuse to play them, because they do not think they can get all the content. And there's something that incentive to play it again, there's something. On your first time, you do not want to miss a companion that was really fucking cool. Right? It's super cool. He's super fast. I don't know why he looks like that, but this is him. He's a cool guy. You don't want to miss him. But you missed him on your first playthrough, and now your first playthrough is kind of tainted. Right? That sucks. Players don't like this. They prefer to have everything the first time, and the second time they go through the game, finding small, minor things on the second go-around, that's okay. But finding this guy on the second go-around, he was here the entire time I didn't see it? That feels bad. Feels very bad. It feels bad, mostly, if you are exposed to the internet, right? That's the internet symbol. I talk about this sometimes, but old era of video games was very Dungeons and Dragons, right? It's for bros made by bros. In that day and age, missing content was not a big fucking deal, because you would do it again every single time you do it again. Because first of all, there's not that many games. There's a lack of games in general. So the ones that you do play, the ones that are quality enough for you to care about missing Speedy Gonzalez over here, usually you're going to play it again. And so it's okay to miss shit, because you know you're coming back a second time and do it all over. Second, gamers of those days had patience. We do not have that these days. We have a type of hook, right? You need to hook your player within the first 10 minutes. If you fail to hook your player within the first 10 minutes, if you have a slow burn of a game, you can fall victim to this thing where you don't give your players enough power fast enough, and so they flake off. They have no idea what the pinnacle looks like because they've never reached a pinnacle. In Prototype, I remember this because this really stuck with me. In the first opening scene of the game, you are playing as the most powered up version of Alex, who is the protagonist. You're playing at as fucking strongest, as his best. And it's super cool, because you're like, oh my god, look at all this cool shit I can do. And then they take all the power away from you. It's also why in Metroid games, what's the symbol for Metroid? Is it the Google Chrome logo? I don't know. I don't know. This thing is Google Chrome. So in Metroid, I remember playing Metroid Fusion. They would do this thing where you enter the facility, all your powers, your super run and everything, your super jump, you're going fast as fuck, you're zooming. Then they take it away from you. There's certain Zelda games where they do that as well, but the point is that they give you all the power up front, and then they make you slow burn to get it back. And so it fulfills the 10-minute trick to keep players engaged, because otherwise players do not have the patience. There's too many other games to play. So why'd I bring that up? What I'm trying to say here is that players, modern players, this is not acceptable for modern players. And we can say, woe is me, oh, it's so fucking bad, I wish we could go back to the good old D&D days, but listen, modern players are modern, okay? We can't go back in time. What's lost is lost. So missing content is kind of fucked. And so Dragon's Dogma 2, they were brave, but also very stupid. Because when you have NPCs in your world that have nothing to do, they're just generic NPCs, what you train your player to do is to stop talking to them. After player hears something about a fishing rod being great for catching tiger sharks or something, they are going to stop paying attention to NPCs, because they're just going to start talking about fishing rods, and the player does not give a fuck about fishing rods, even though they should. And in the end, what ends up happening is they miss this guy. And like I said, this guy could give you Speedy Gonzalez. That's kind of fucked. It's kind of fucked to miss. So there are a variety of ways to tackle this problem. First is to just make every NPC interesting. If every NPC has a story, and potentially a quest that's tied to them, then maybe you can start training your players to care about whatever the fuck they have to say. And this story has to be unique for every NPC. But this is difficult. And even if you're able to do this, what ends up happening is like Skyrim, where you have... How many NPCs were in Skyrim? 1,000 or something? 1,000 NPCs. All of them have something unique to say. All of them have unique dialogue. But it doesn't feel like it. Like, have you been to the Cloud District? Like, have you been? My brother, I don't even know where the fuck this is. Why are you asking me about it? No, of course you haven't. Okay. It feels like there's something else there behind what they have to say, but they're not giving it to you. And that's kind of infuriating. Players don't like that. So, creating like 1,000 unique NPCs with shallow systems like this don't tend to work. If you're going to create 1,000 NPCs, they all have to be deep. This is super important. What is depth? What the fuck does that mean? How do you make your NPCs interesting enough to facilitate not having quest markers? Well, players have this magic thing. Hell, humans have this magic thing that we've been using ever since we started telling stories. Imagination. They say gamers are some of the most creative people around, and this is kind of sort of true. We have the imagination to completely immerse ourselves in a world, to leave our troubles and our worries behind and focus purely on the story. This is something that you can't tell your mom to do. You can't give your mom a video game and say, here, play. And then she'll just dive in and fall in like she's reading a good book. That's not going to happen. Video games have the unique purpose of being interactive mediums, so it's difficult to trigger imagination. So how do you leave this to the imagination? Well, I kind of referenced it with the Cloud District guy, but we need to feel like NPCs matter and don't matter. It's a Schrodinger's cat problem. At the same time, they need to matter and not matter. I can't think... I've been sitting on this for like a week thinking about games that have succeeded to do this, and I can't think of one, because this problem is so fucked. I hate this problem, and I would never recommend anyone to fall into it. Never think to yourself, well, players complain about quest markers and all this all the time, and map markers and fast travel. They complain about convenience features. These are not convenience features. These are necessary features for the modern gamer. These are important. And just because a gamer says they don't like something doesn't mean they actually don't like it. There's a lot of shit gamers say they don't like and they continue to do. Like microtransactions. Anyway. Anyway, back to solving this problem. The imagination and mattering and not mattering. What this means is that they have to have a veil, right? A shimmery look around them. And it has to be unique. But the veil has to convince the player that it matters, when in reality, it doesn't. Cloud District is important because it makes the player ask, where is Cloud District? And what's important about Cloud District? And why is this guy being a snobby asshole? Where Bethesda fails in Cloud District guy is that they didn't give him more to say other than Cloud District. Depth comes from quantity. I don't know how to spell quantity. Don't believe me, okay? Depth comes from quantity. The imagination will fill in the blanks. And the things that don't matter, things the player can't see, the imagination will fill it in. It will say, okay, the Cloud District might be another city, or it might be an entire country. Can I go there? Go to the Cloud District. If you can, you have successfully pulled off depth. I think this is like kind of important as well, is that your NPCs, they do not exist as people who simply exist in the world. They're not only a platform, right? They're not only the foundation that the world sits on. They are inhabitants of the world. What type of sense does it make that Link doesn't know about the name of every province in Hyrule? It doesn't make sense, right? Because he lives there. He lives in Hyrule, so naturally Link knows. The player doesn't. Whenever you're creating these NPCs, what would make them so believable, what would make the player think, okay, this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about, is a Cloud District type NPC. Or multiple of them. NPCs, in most games, stay inside their one town, right? They stay inside their one city, and they have no idea what's going on in the other cities. There might be, like, news, right? There might be a newspaper, and in some cases, the NPCs can know about it and react to it, but in most cases, in most RPGs, they do not. The NPC is relegated to its bubble. This is not good. You do not want a bubbled in NPC because it feels like an incomplete NPC. And as a result, the dialogue they could possibly provide is necessarily going to be generic. And kind of fucking lame. Because what the fuck does this NPC know about the dragon attack that happened in Helgen? Oh! I think we're kind of chipping away at why Skyrim is so cool, why everyone loves Skyrim. When we're talking about Morrowind NPCs, how many NPCs are in Morrowind? So Morrowind has 2,700 NPCs. They suffer from the same problem as Dragon's Dogma 2, right? They have quests sometimes, but only if you use the right keywords. Now, the keyword system is super cool. I love the keyword system. It's just the wrong game for a keyword system. Morrowind is not the right game for a keyword system, but I love this. The Final Fantasy type thing, Final Fantasy 2 keyword system, I love this. It's super cool. It's just the wrong game. But we'll talk about keyword systems in a different video. This is a super cool bit of narrative design. And it can work on console games. Like Final Fantasy 2 has proved it works on console games. So anyway, to get quests from Morrowind NPCs, you have to engage with the system. You have to tell them certain knowledge that they would want to hear. Now, what's bad, and this is why I say it doesn't work for Morrowind, is that the keyword system will give you like 300 options, right? But for most NPCs, only like 5 options will be unique dialogue that will be able to evoke from them, and the rest are trash. And even of these 5 unique options, maybe like 2 result in a quest. If even that. Like, I'm being generous here. There's also this issue where it's 2,700 NPCs. Not all of them can use this. A lot of them, in fact, will use generic dialogue. And so, once again, it trains the player into thinking, okay, these guys have nothing to say. It doesn't fucking matter. All these NPCs, thousands of NPCs, it makes no fucking difference if you talk to them or not. That is super lame. This is trash. I would love to sit here and bash on Morrowind all day, every day. There are some good things they did. This is one of the bad things they did. This many NPCs, and you'd think for a game that's voiced, for a game that's unvoiced, and players say all the time, oh, you have to do so much reading because there's no fucking dialogue. Right? They say that all the time. There's no dialogue. There's no voice acting. So, obviously, they have to write a lot. But here's the issue. The writing isn't worth it. It lacks the Cloud District. It lacks knowing about other parts of the world. Because they can they can give you like, okay, here's what it feels like. It feels like you'll talk to this guy. He's not a cool guy. He's a lame guy. Okay, he's a trashy guy. And you ask him background, right? This is one of the options are in the keyword system. And he'll say, Taylor. Is this engaging? Okay. Why are you a tailor? Nope. Can't tell you that. What do you tailor? Nope. Can't tell you that. Okay, do you like being a tailor? Nope. Can't tell you that. There's here's the keyword. Here's the generated text about what the fuck I am, because when you go into the engine and you look at the fucking keyword system and you see the tag for profession, it says tailor. And guess what? If they fucking misspell it here, if they say tailory, that's what the fuck he's going to say, because it's just taking this. Right? I am a asshole. No, I am a blank, and they just move that in. That's lame. That's lame. This system is lame. We need to leave more to the imagination, but that requires Skyrim level effort. And in an unvoiced game, that should be easy to do. But they didn't do it. Because even back then, even Morrowind, not that good. Not that good of a game. However, of the quests that do exist, super cool, dude. There's super cool ideas, super cool concepts, super cool philosophies. Like, there's some depth here. There's some serious shit going on. Now, of course, there's a few stinkers. I'm thinking about the Imperial Cult, I think. There's a few stinkers, but for the most part, it's good. This is well written. But you have to get to this part. It feels like they made all this, and it's kind of trash. And thanks to how modern players, are trained, that's kind of it. A question I see a lot is like, why do people bounce off Morrowind? Why is Skyrim considered the best game? Why is this the best seller? Is it because it's accessible? Kind of, yeah. But it's more because the other games were inaccessible. Morrowind is an inaccessible game. And, unfortunately, Dragon's Dogma 2 is also an inaccessible game. Let's talk about other things that make characters, like, convincing and, like, make players want to care. Something that we saw that happen with what was it? Mass Effect Andromeda, right? Is we would have these characters, and then when you talk to them, it feels like these are the only parts that move, right? It feels like it's all face. And with Andromeda, when the face wasn't moving, they were talking. It felt super fucked. So, felt super weird because we zoom in on their face, right? Thanks Bethesda for fucking doing this to the industry. We zoom in on their face, we frame it because this is where all the technology went into the fucking face. When in truth, when we're talking about humans in real life, like we use body language, dude. Right? We move our arms, we shake our heads, we wrestle with our fucking hands. We do these things, we express these ways. We animate with our bodies. And animate with your body? Like animating body animations, I'm not sure if this is just a me thing or if this is for all animators, but this is way easier than this. And usually you don't have to do this because it's handled artificially, right? Like this machine. A machine will do this part for you. Machines could also do this, but what ends up happening instead is we reuse animations. And those animations are simple, right? They're like hand out or shock. Like they're not animations for conversation. They're emotes. And that's lame. We have such a wide range of motion here, and we don't use it. That's lame as fuck. Animators are probably like the most important people when it comes to like conveying a world that makes sense in a way that's cool, you know? Like they bring these things to life. It's what an animator does. And for some reason we're focusing on the face. I tell you, when I talk to my fucking uncle and he points and he waves his hands and he does all this shit, it feels great. Remember Baldur's Gate 3? I love talking about Baldur's Gate 3 because it's a game that's relevant and everyone knows. Because it won all those fucking awards. I don't have to talk about some niche title that did it instead. So Baldur's Gate 3, the reason why all of those cutscenes feel so fucking good is because they're not using emotes. Every animation from, let's talk about the part that everyone played. Okay, Druid's Grove, when you first get there, Will, and he'll have a fucking sword, right? He jumped down from rock to rock from a high place. And he put his fucking hand up, said, I'm going to slay you, demon, fuck you, guy. Right? But it was super cool. And it gave him character. Because that was not a fucking emote. When characters are talking in this game, they focus on the face, sure. But the rest of the time, they are focusing on the body. It is okay to do both. Both are cool. You do not want your characters to look like Oblivion, right? That's lame. Here's something else cool that Skyrim does. Think about, like, Jarl, right? Who's talking to you when you come through the fucking door in Whiterun saying, there's dragons attacking Helgen. And he's, like, leaned out. He's chilling. Right? He's chilling in his fucking chair. In his coat. Right? Got his fucking guards next to him. Irilith and Pravanchi, wherever the fuck the guy's name is. Pravanchi is a huge dick. I don't know, dude. Whatever. The point is, the Jarl's sitting here, and he has his hand right here. Right? But he is put into a pose that is so strong that he doesn't have to fucking move with this body. He is a fucking Jarl. He has dignity. He has a poise about him. He doesn't have to fucking move. Now, the issue is, neither do these guys. The other issue is, sitting in any Jarl chair will do that pose. There's also the issue of, like, when he's saying shit like, for example, I will not have dragons raising my cities, he could have, like, slammed his hand down, right? Bam. He could have slammed it on his fucking chair. Small, minor animation. It's small. And hell, it's even a fucking emote. He could have did it for that one time, and it would have been doing nothing but grabbing the fucking control rig, moving that up, 1, 2, 3, and then down, 1 frame. Easy, super easy. But they didn't do that. Instead, they chose to take this route. And listen, it's difficult to know why developers do the things developers do because I do have no clue how long this took, right? And some companies will lie to you. They'll say some things are harder than they actually are. In truth, what's difficult about getting a bunch of voice actors on board is getting them to retake their lines, right? If they do it right the first time, this takes no effort and it takes no time. This is super good. The issue comes about when they start flubbing their lines, or even worse, when they're given the wrong lines to do. And so you have to do a brand new take. There's a lot of unused dialogue that goes on in games, and whatever. The point is that we need to convey motion. This is cool. We have an entire fucking body to work with. This should not only be moving during combat. Emotes are better than no emotes. But body motion is the best. You can have a game where the characters' faces don't move at all, and they all talk in Morrowind-like text boxes. But as long as their body is moving, as long as they look like this, that's super interesting. That is super engaging. That is super fucking cool. And we have to accept that. Next on the docket. Character relations, brother. I'm not talking about like affinity or romance or friendship mechanics. I'm not talking about those. I'll talk about those a different day. Nope. No. What I want to talk about is the transaction between quest giver and quest receiver. This is our adventurer, right? He's a player. Look at his sword. Really cool sword, okay? So, he gets a quest to go out and slay a dragon. He comes back, turns in the quest, and gets money. And that's the transaction. But if we wanted to make our worlds feel engaging, God, I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm not sure if I have the perfect answer. But if we want our worlds to feel engaging, then the player necessarily has to be engaged in why he's going out to slay the fucking dragon. There needs to be a reason. And this way, what he's looking at isn't a question mark. I'm sorry, he's not looking at an exclamation point. He's not looking at a quest giver. He's looking at a person. A person is telling him about this dragon and the terrible shit it's doing. Now, unfortunately, what's going on in a lot of these RPGs is that we have this concept, right? The side quest concept. And side quests, unfortunately, feel like transactions because the players see them as filler. And for good reason, because most side quests are filler. Going back to Baldur's Gate 3, though, do you remember a quest that was explicitly feeling like a side quest? I don't. Everything I did kind of felt like it played into the grander narrative. Here's spoilers. Baldur's Gate 3 is relatively new, so I'll give you spoilers. Not Act 1, though. Whatever. Spoilers anyway for Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not going to tell you where to skip, eat shit, and die. So, Kaga has a secret. And she has a meeting going on somewhere in the swamp. We don't know where. But she got a letter, and it's in her room, and it's in a chest, hidden behind a wall. You have to get there. And the meeting says, we're going to take down the Druid's Grove. Come to the swamp, Kaga. I love you. Lots. Kisses. Bye-bye. XOXO. That's what it says in the letter. It says that. Look it up. Look it up. That's what it says. Come to the swamp. If you come to the swamp, you get ambushed, and there's a fight. In the chest is another note. And you can use this note as proof against Kaga in the grander narrative of defending the Druid's Grove. That is, it's a side quest. It's definitively a side quest. But it doesn't feel like it. And that's cool. That's a strong incentive. It's a strong reason to do the side quest. You're not doing it because there's money and experience. Well, maybe your second time around, but the first time around, you're doing it because you think it's right to do. You have a reason to do it. And of course, you can combine this with the other techniques we have to make NPCs believable and deep. And you're going to have yourself an important NPC who's not going to feel like a side character. And imagine doing this for this many NPCs. Imagine how fucking cool that would be. Oh, but it would take so much development time. This is always like the bane of all these projects, right? How much time do we have? We're working against the clock always, right? And the more time we spend in pre-production, the less time we'll have to spend in production. Time is the enemy. Time is the mind killer. But I promise you, solid pre-production is better than flexible post-production. And by post-production, I mean mid-production. We have this concept right now where for some reason your team lead will tell you, hey, don't worry about the pre. It changes all the time. All right? Stop worrying about the pre. This is wrong. The pre is your Bible. Your game document is your Bible. Those plans that you made on a fucking notepad, that's your Bible, brother, okay? You do not want to be another one of these fucking teams who gets midway through development and they have to change the entire fucking game. A complete 180 turnaround because it basically spells the death of your project. Are there games that have come out that and made it out the other side and they're good games? Yes, absolutely. Are you going to be one of them? No, you are not. All right, let's not fool ourselves. This is fucked. You do not want to do this. Do not flex mid-post. Stick to the Bible. Spend a lot of time on the pre. You will have the time to make your 2,700 characters. And you will do it efficiently and easily. You will know exactly what the fuck to write. Your scriptwriter will know exactly what the fuck to write. Your animator will know who these characters are because they've known them all production. The entire production cycle, they've known these characters. They know exactly how to make them move, how to make them jake, right? You don't have to create the background on the fucking fly. Like, oh, I don't know, he's a tailor, and yes, I'm a tailor. I'm a blank. You don't have to do that. That is time crunch shit. With pre-production, you know this guy's story, all right? Your narrative guy, he knows exactly what to do with him. There's also like this concept. I don't have this in my fucking notes anywhere, but I should have. I watched this guy named local script guy. Okay, what's up with me and spelling today? Whatever. Local script guy. Okay, local script guy said something that was like it kind of blew my mind when he was talking about how to write characters for books. And of course, everything in books carries over to games because games are the uniting of all mediums: art, writing, music, sound, all these things. They all come together in video games. So it's multidisciplinary. He says something about books, and that writing characters in books, the first thing you should do is establish a motivation. And this is kind of difficult for most writers because they're like, yeah, he wants to save the world and he wants to slay the dragon and kiss a princess and get to fuck, whatever his motivation is. But the way that local script guide tells you is he says, yeah, okay, so if you want to establish a motivation, you don't know how to, you should use a predefined character system like an Enneagram or MBTI. Everyone loves this fucking test, okay? You can use horoscopes. It doesn't matter. He doesn't say the horoscope part. That's me. But the point is that there's a pre-existing system that has these concepts in them. From here on, I'm speaking off the cuff. I don't have a quote of what this guy says. But what's super interesting about using Enneagrams, MBTI, and horoscopes is that you have a defined character. These things are all defined. The best thing about defined is that you don't have to think. You don't have to say, what the fuck am I? Because you have a definition. You are defined. Wherever the fuck you are. Right? And a defined character, all you have to do is put them in a situation. I know this is about like game design, and this is really shit about for your narrative designer, for your script team, whoever the fuck is writing your game. But as the game designer, you have to have some amount of knowledge about what the fuck is going on and how these characters are ending up in these situations where they have this sword and then the sword breaks in half in the middle of their fight. You need to know this. So they're defined by a situation. That they have their identity, right? They have their ID. And the situation will attack. The situation will attack their definition. And the result is going to be the character. So let's say I have, I don't know, let's say I have a baker. And he is a alpha type personality, okay? He's a super angry guy, this baker. Super mad. I forgot how to draw this thing. Okay, there you go. He's super mad. He's super mad baker. And I put him in a situation where he has a lot of customers coming in. Like 80 of the motherfuckers, okay? 80 of these motherfuckers coming through his door, asking for his baked goods. This is the situation. How does he react with his type A, his alpha personality, against his 80 people? The easy thing is, yeah, sure, he gets mad. But what if he reacted by hating himself internally? Getting angry at himself internally, and because he's alpha, he pushes himself, and he fulfills all 80 orders in record time, but he gets sick, right? Like, who knows? The point is that we have a situation, and it forges a character. This is super cool. I love this guy, okay? If I wasn't straight, the things I would do, okay? The things I would do. This is good. This was a good idea. And I'm so glad I heard it. I'm so glad I saw it. If I never saw it, I would have been sitting here racking my brain about how to write every single character. You don't have to. Pick an Enneagram, pick an MBTI, pick a horoscope, pick whatever the fuck you want. Give that character that number, that tag, that horoscope. If he's a fucking Tauros, not Tauros, that's a Pokemon. Whatever. If he's a Libra, give him a situation. Maybe the end of the world came. A meteor fell out of the fucking sky onto his hometown. How does the Libra react to that? Then you have the character. Boom. Super easy, super fast. Because that's what we like, right? Fast. Because we're working against the clock always. And it can all be done in pre-production. And because you have a writer who knows exactly what the fuck the baker does when he's feeling under stress, it is super easy to write a situation in which the baker has to test himself. And these are things a game designer does not have to fucking worry about, okay? These are things that the writer has to worry about. If you want a writing video, maybe I'll do one. But we're talking about game design, so whatever. I have this in my notes. I'm going to write it down here. Morrowind. has 2,700 NPCs. Oblivion has 850. And Skyrim, 1,000. Just I'd note it again, because there's any confusion. These numbers are perfectly doable. I think that we should aim for, like, I don't know, Oblivion felt kind of empty, and I guess you could say that's part of its charm, but we should aim for, like, Skyrim. Skyrim felt relatively dense. It felt normal. Of course, there's the issue of, like, okay, we have Whiterun, and the city has, like, I don't know, 20 houses. It doesn't feel full. It doesn't feel big enough. I want bigger cities one day. It depends on your time budget. I'm not going to press you. I'm not going to hold you. It is what it is. Try your best. If everyone could be Morrowind, I would be jumping for joy. But even Morrowind had, like, all these fucking towns, and there are, like, 5 shacks in a town. Not always, but, like, especially in those beginner cities, in those first cities, whew, there's nothing there. I don't think you should have to wait until you get to the capital before you start seeing relative density from NPCs. There's also a thing of, like, nameless NPCs, right? Nameless NPCs, you don't interact with them. You can't interact with them. They just walk. They're just filler, right? I'm unsure if this is good to have in a game at all. Should they be talkable but generic, or should they just run past you like in Persona? Because you can't talk to many people in Persona. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of houses, and they have doors. You can't go into every door. That's unreasonable. I'm unsure. I'm undecided on nameless NPCs, like crowds and shit. Like, what's better? To have a world where everyone matters, or to have a world that's full and dense, and that feels like everyone matters, even though it doesn't really feel like that. You just kind of, like, zone it out. Modern players have learned, where's modern? Here we go. Modern players have learned to ignore certain things. They've been trained to ignore certain stimuli that normal people, like your mom plays the game, she's like, where are all the people? This is an empty-ass town, right? A town is like 1,000 people. Where are the people? Modern gamers have learned to adapt. We have game sense in a type of way, right? You learn that red barrels are explosive. Boom. Learn that. That's game sense. We have game sense for NPCs as well. If there's a lot of them walking around, you've been trained to ignore them. It's games that break the rules that have to do it carefully. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is okay. I don't know. I don't know in which direction this should go. Speaking of players, I want to show you something. Hold on. So, there's this guy named Bartle, and he categorized players as being killers, achievers, socializers, and explorers. You can pause and read this for yourself if you want. The point is that you can gauge a player's psychology by what they want to do. I know a lot of developers who typically do this, who typically, they make their game with this system in mind. I personally don't use this system. Personally, I use this one, which is Quantic Foundry's gauge of player motivation. Acrobat, Gardener, Slayer, Skirmisher, Gladiator, Ninja, Bounty Hunter, Architect, Bard. I think that you can capture an audience, pick the 2 or 3 types you want out of this segment, and then you can put all of those players into your game, and you can design your game around those players and their expectations. And it's super easy to create incentives, because remember, incentives are more important than punishments. You do not want a system where you are punished for, I don't know. Okay, here we go. You don't want a system where you spend a lot of downtime running around and then try to market it to a skirmisher. This doesn't make sense. They hate downtime. They don't like walking everywhere. They don't like discovery. And yet you're over here saying, yeah, here's some EXP for going into this dungeon and looking at a mural on the wall. That is boring. They hate that. So it's important that you're able to cater to these expectations. And I think that Quantic does it well. Bartle's not bad either. If you've already started a game and you're using Bartle, that's okay. But using this to gauge player motivations, I think that's cool. Oh, by the way, I'm a bounty hunter. These are my favorite games. Okay, so knowing that, what am I trying to talk about here? The ability for players to kill NPCs. I have been going back and forth on this so many times I cannot even begin to count it, right? On side A, we can say that we have players that like to kill. We also have players that values choice, right? They value the freedom to choose. On side B, we have me, a fucking developer, saying that is a waste of time because you're just going to load the fucking save anyway. Remember Morrowind? Yeah. It lets you kill an NPC that is key to the main plot. And players say all the time, oh yeah, I love this, I love this. But when they kill, and they cut the main plot, it gives you a fucking window saying you have severed the twine of fate and the game is now uncompletable. Load a fucking save, asshole. And so you go back. This was useless. This was futile. There was no reason for the player to kill the NPC, and most players don't kill NPCs. But, like, it doesn't make sense to design a game around the player's ability to kill an NPC. Because if NPCs are killable, then that means that the NPCs necessarily have to be nameless. They cannot be... So in Morrowind... Not Morrowind. Fuck. In Elder Scrolls, and Bethesda games in general, they have the concept of the essential NPC. And the non-essential NPCs are ones that are useful in quest steps. So quest step is, let's say we have a quest, but there are steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 to complete it. Right at step 4, you complete the quest. But these are quest steps. Well, first you have to go here, and then you have to talk to this person, and then you have to blah, 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 blah. I'm going to talk all about questing in a different video, and like how all of them are fetch quests or whatever the fuck. What did I say? I have a different section of my notes for questing. All quests are kill, fetch, talk, or escort. Difference is context. Whatever. I'll make that video at a different time. But what I'm saying here is that non-essential NPCs in Bethesda games can be killed. But why? Why would players want to kill them? And why do we let them? I don't know. This one of those difficult things. Side B. Yeah, I already started making side B. My bad. Yeah, it's time. Why? But why though? I'm just developing a character here for you to kill. Why? I don't know. Like, I'm leaning towards the side of B because I developed this shit and I know how long it takes. And I'm not a fan of players wasting their fucking time and mine by killing NPCs. Not because I want you to see all the fucking content. That's not important. What's important is you're just gonna load the fucking save anyway. If you didn't load the save, like, if players weren't fucking pussies, like, okay, hold on. Let me establish something. Players are pussies. You guys are pussies. You guys are fat fucking pussies, bro. You guys are pussies. If you weren't pussies, if you just, like, stick with this, if you did this entire line and it made sense, if this was cool, then I wouldn't mind developing a system in which NPCs could die. But because players are pussies, because players don't follow through, because they don't let this shit happen, and I know they're just gonna fucking load it, it feels like I shouldn't let you kill them in the first place. I just put all this fucking time in on a system that all you wanted to do was swing your fucking sword around. Like, it feels like there's no restraint. Imagine being one of these developers that cater to players who are absolute fucking pussies. And then you make a fucking bounty system, right? Up to 5 stars. And they chase the player. And it's super cool for the one time. But I don't know about you. I've played Grand Theft Auto 5, 4, San Andreas, not 3, not 2, not 1. I played all these games. I've gotten 5 times, collectively across all those fucking games, 10 times. And most of those times, it was forced run as a mission. I don't naturally go out and seek 10 fucking stars. Right? I'll hit people with the car, or whatever, sure. Because it can be kind of fucking funny. That's kind of funny to be hitting people with your car. Especially in those games. But after you do it enough times, and you start noticing your car getting dinged up, you kind of stop doing it. Like, being wanted isn't fun. Having a broken car with fucked up wheels is also not fun. It's kind of funny, but is that what you're making your world? Are you making a funny world? Is Elder Scrolls a funny world? Is Morrowind funny? Is it hee hee ha ha? I don't think so. If you're making a funny world, then yes, sure. Allow them to kill the NPCs. Because it's wacky. Like Saints Row, it makes sense to kill NPCs. But if you're making a serious world, if you're making a serious RPG, it doesn't really make sense for players to kill. Well, once again, I'm going back and forth on this. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. There's going to be a lot of that in this video. I don't know. I don't know what the right solution is. I lean towards B because I know what this shit takes, and I think players are pussies. But if you choose A, I'm not going to hold you. It's all about knowing your audience, and this is why I brought up the Quantic thing. If you have an audience of people who you know you're targeting, and you know do not give a fuck about killing NPCs, they don't want to. They typically don't even try. Like some people, they'll try it, oh, and they'll have a realization, oh, it worked. They let me do that. Okay, go back, never do it again, because players are pussies. They don't see it through. Never. They always load. Oh, that was bad. Let me not do that. If you have those players, then it doesn't hurt to just take Route B and not do it at all. Just don't make your NPCs killable. It doesn't matter if they're essential or non-essential. It doesn't matter if they're nameless or named. Just don't let them do it. Like, for example, something that I have in mind is when you are inside town, you can't use your weapons. Not because there's a bounty system and you'll be arrested, but you just won't be able to draw. You press your fucking X button, it doesn't work. There's some games that don't even let you fucking jump in town. Like, you can't use your fucking A button. That's crazy. I'm thinking Naruto. Some games in the Naruto franchise are open world and you can run around the town. You can press a button like X and you'll throw a shuriken and you can break boxes and stuff. But it goes through people. You can't hurt anybody with the shuriken. And of course you can jump as well. And you can climb up walls and you can do cool shit. You can run around being a ninja. Because, you know, it's Naruto. You're telling me I can't fucking run and jump in town? That's stupid. I don't know. I think this is super complicated, and it depends on what your game is and who your audience is and what gamer type you're appealing to. All of these things coalesce into deciding if players should be able to kill your NPCs or if they should just go fuck off. Oh, I had one more fucking note. Yeah, Daggerfall? 270,000. 270K. But we know why that is. Because they're fucking randomly generated, right? Alright, how long is this video? Jesus, an hour. It's like I'm doing the fucking Skyrim thing. But it doesn't feel like it. Look at how little I've written compared to the fucking Starfield thing. Whatever. I want to talk about AI routines. NPC routines. Like, they wake up at sunrise. They go to work. And then they come home and sleep. That's the AI routine. Kenshi is a game that's built on AI routines. Skyrim is also a game that's built on AI routines. Are these beneficial? They make the world feel alive, but they're also super hard on computational power. If this gets better, I would love to see more AI routines, more complicated AI routines, and more reactive. I would love to see more. But right now, it's a huge burden, technically. If we can find a way to optimize that, I would love that. But AI routines is one of those things where it's like, eesh. Really fuck with us here. It's really, really heavy. I don't think people consider how much AI costs. If we had like, if for example, if we had a building where an NPC typically sleeps, and you destroyed the building, a reactive NPC would be able to exclaim about that, and then they would be able to go to a broker and use money that they had in their savings account to buy a new woo. To buy a woo house. It's sparkly, right? It's brand fucking new. I don't know. It's super deep. There's lots to say about AI and video games, and I'm not that channel. I'm just a designer. I'm just a poor fucking boy. Poor fucking man. I'm too old to be saying boy. That's fucking retarded. Okay, let's move on. Voices. I kind of talked about this before. Voice NPCs, not difficult to do, just time consuming, and there's a lot of reasons why it can go wrong. But if you thought that I was going to sit here as a fucking developer, as an artist, and say, I hate AI in all cases, you are dead wrong, okay? AI is one of those places where I would love to synthesize a voice, brand new. And I don't want to get this twisted. It doesn't have to be AI, but it can also be. Does anybody remember Arby and the Chief? There's this thing, a program on Windows that came with Windows called Microsoft Sam. And it is text to speech. This is what most AI should be. I don't know why they call it AI when it's really just text to speech, but yes, we need better text to speech systems. There's also something about Vocaloid, like Hatsune Miku. Like, that's text to speech. There's I don't know. The point is that this is doable. You can do it fast. You can do it for cheap. Or if you want to be prancy about it and you want to use like real people, fine. Let's say you want to use real people. What you can do is use real people to train the AI, give their voice to the AI, and then they charge royalties. So for like, I don't know, for every hour of their voice you use, you pay them $100, right? I don't know the rates. Don't ask me. I'm bad at balancing. I'm bad at finances. I really think that the future is probably going to be synthesizing. And I don't know what these guys are going to do. I hope they just train AI models to get royalties. They can live comfy lives off the royalties from their AI model training. But otherwise, yeah, because, well, actually no, because eventually AI is going to get to a point where they can make brand new voices, and we don't need the training anymore. So, I'm sorry, I don't know where you're going to go, but I hope you find your way. Don't worry, we're human. We adapt. We will overcome. I promise you that. Okay, I was kind of hinting at this earlier, but I want to talk more about like composite identity. There's two types of programming structure in video game design: hierarchical, and composite. Composite is what you should always be doing. I'm not even going to fucking bring up hierarchical. It can eat shit and die. It's old. It's dead. It has no use. Do not at me. Composite. So we have these attributes that are attached to a character, right? We have the name. We have the religion. We have the philosophy. We have the faction. We have the family. And we can use these to inform a character about how they should behave. Remember when I was talking about MBTI? Where is that? Here we go. Remember when I was talking about this? Okay. You can use that to generate this. And these are actual data fields that you will find in your code that will inform the NPC about how to behave in the world. For example, if they're religious, what religion? Their philosophy is which philosophy? There's only so many fucking philosophies, so I pick one of the big ones. Like maybe they're existential, or maybe they are fatalistic, or maybe they're accelerationists. It doesn't. Pick one, stick with it. Faction. Which faction in your world do they belong to? Family. You can lump this into factions. Sometimes a family is a faction. Sometimes a faction is a family. Put them in a box, and how they react will depend on that box. In the Starfield video, I was talking about this guy, and he was tagged with the what was the name of that organization? I forgot. UNC? He's UNC? I don't remember. UNFC? I don't know what the fuck it's called. But he's attached to an organization. And so if you had a bounty and you were known for killing UNC members, he would in turn become hostile to you. It's just an if statement somewhere in his fucking code that says if kill 100, then hostile. It's really simple, like if statement shit. And you can run this check every time a player moves somewhere, like they fast travel or they land on a planet, anywhere where like you would have to generate loading. You can just run this check, and it would be very performant. It wouldn't be too taxing. It wouldn't be too difficult. And it's all informed by the composite system. Once again, this composite system is informed by pre-production. It's shit you can do before development, so it should not take time. It's what the programmer is going to be doing instead of the writer doing something. The writer is doing this. The programmer is going to be doing this. Maybe the programmer has to wait for the writer, but the programmer always has shit to do, so this shouldn't be a problem. In the future, I expect us to be more solid on this. We've tried. There's a promise for Oblivion at E3 where Todd, the one who's always truthful, he always tells the truth, he never lies. He said that NPCs will be able to talk to each other. They talk to each other, all right. But it was terrible. I don't think we want NPCs to talk to each other eventually, right? This is a technological failure, I think. Actually, right now, I'm going to put it as a technological failure instead of like a skill issue. I want to say it's technological. And instead of saying it's time-based, like there's not enough time for those meaningless interactions. God damn, yeah, because the amount of interactions you would need for every NPC to say to every other NPC, I'm putting on these. Never mind. I'm putting on these. The tech and the time are not there. What will fix this one day is probably AI, but we've seen that already, and it's pretty bad. I've seen a demo from this guy. He talked about his name is AI and Games? I don't know. Either way, he's doing this fucking video about NVIDIA's new tech that allows NPCs to talk to the player and to each other in real time, and it's supposedly super realistic. It's not super realistic. It's kind of lame, and the voice synthesization is lame as well. Like it's not very good. Like Microsoft Sam could probably do more convincing. There's a lot of issues with that, but eventually we will get to this point where NPCs do and can react to each other. You ever see a video of like two AIs communicating? Like you put two phones next to each other and you put like Siri and Bing up next to one another and they talk to each other? Okay, eventually we will get that, and it will be kind of cool and it will be kind of good, but right now, don't do this. And don't bother. It's whatever, bro. Okay? They can talk to another NPC if that NPC is already talking to you. Alright? You can do that if the player is in the conversation. Right? Then they can talk to the NPC. But otherwise, no. Fuck off. Not happening. Almost fucking done. Quick trick. Whenever you have, this is why Morrowind feels like it's a lot of fucking text. Whenever you have a game with this much, instead, just have text box 1, this much, press next. Text box 2, this much, press next. Like, this allows, it's bite-sized pieces. This is what I love about Final Fantasy 14. This is my favorite fucking video game of all time. Not my favorite, like, MMO. My favorite video game of all time is Final Fantasy 14. The text is all bite-sized. I'm not saying this is the only game that does it, by the way. I just want to point it out. Shout out to Final Fantasy 15. I'm sorry, 14. And 15 as well. The text is bite-sized, so it doesn't feel like a lot of reading. If you asked a gamer, like, if they read it and they said no, how much do they think they read in video games in general? They would probably say nothing. But in truth, they read all of this. Morrowind feels exhausting because it gives you all of this. That's annoying. It's just a block of text. There's something about getting hit with a block of text that's fucked. But if it's small little passages like this, it's super digestible, and people actually find enjoyment in writing it and in reading it. So try to avoid this. Try to do more of this. You'll be okay. All right. Dude, is that everything I wanted to say about NPCs? I think so. Yeah, I think this. Yeah. You get it. Whatever. Video's over a fucking hour raw. I assume it's going to come down to like 40 minutes, 50 minutes. Yeah, whatever, dude.